Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Constructive Behaviors Podcast. This episode, I am going to focus on 14% subscription box. If you haven't heard about it yet, you're going to learn about it. And if you do know about it, and if you're a subscriber, you're going to get the backstory. Today, most of what I'm going to spend time on is the backstory. I want you to understand how this thing even came to be and who the heck is helping me do it, because I'm sure as heck not doing it myself, not all by myself. So I want to dive into that. I had a Facebook Live scheduled for tonight and I had technical difficulties. You give me a skill saw, a table saw, a jigsaw, a palm sander, I can run any of that equipment, no problem. You give me a Facebook Live platform, and yeah, apparently can't figure out how to run that effectively. So you're getting it in the podcast form, and I hope that you like it here, and it'll also be on my YouTube channel. So let's start with, if you haven't heard or just barely heard about the 14% subscription box, real quick, it is a quarterly subscription curated specifically for women in construction. I started this subscription box. The first one went out in October of 2024. Had three go out so far. The next one goes out in July. So if you're not yet a subscriber, you'll want to join the wait list so that you have the first opportunity to purchase one of the almost 50 slots that I'm opening up on the subscription for the July box. So for those of you who do know more about the 14% of subscription box and you would like to hear the backstory, let's dive into that. So the 14% of subscription box started as an idea that pops into my head as I was listening to a random podcast while I was walking my dog one day. It was like, I don't know, late 2023, early 2024. And they were talking about subscription boxes. And I'd never considered doing a subscription box, but as I was listening to the whole concept, I was like, that would be amazing if, as a woman in construction, somebody would just send me gear that actually fit me. And the more I got to thinking about it, I thought, I should do this. I should figure out how to do this. Gift giving is absolutely one of my love languages. And so the idea of being able to put boxes together every quarter that women who have a lot of things in common with me would open and feel like, oh my gosh, she totally gets me. Open the box and feel seen. Open the box and feel like I do belong in this industry. That like completely warms my heart. So every quarter I get to pick out gifts and then I get to put them in the boxes. It's like wrapping presents. And then I get to send them to all the subscribers. And then I get the feedback from them about how much they love this or what they really liked about that. And it has been incredibly, incredibly rewarding. So let's talk about what happened next. After I heard the idea, I just started thinking, okay, wait, I want to learn more about how you would do this. And so I found a particular podcast that does coaching for those wanting to start a subscription box. And I just started listening like every episode. And I'd listen to an episode and I'd come back home and I listen to episodes as I walk the dog. That's why I'm saying I'd come back home and I'd write down all the thoughts that I had from the episodes I listened to on that walk. And months, this went on for months. And I didn't tell anyone that I was thinking about doing this. One, because as unfortunately too many of us women do, we think we have to have things 120%. We have to understand them 120% before we move forward. That was part of my problem. But another part was, man, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it really well. I don't want it to be half-ass and then somebody gets a box and like, wow, I could do this better. And then they start doing it. And what I really didn't want that to do is that somebody who's not in construction start something that they think would be good for us. And I'm just so tired of getting things that aren't made for me, that didn't fit me in this industry. And I wanted it to come from a woman in construction. And if you haven't listened to my podcast for very long or you don't really know me, I spent 20 years in the field before I moved into office positions. I was a union carpenter and a superintendent for the majority of my career. I built schools and hospitals mostly, along with residential, multifamily residential near the end of my build career. So I have been in the field, I've been in the office. I know what it's like to get handed that gear that's in the guy's fit, the guy's size, the guy's style. I know what it's like to be handed that swag from the vendor that shows up that is nothing you would ever wear or use. And it's time for that to be different. And that's what the 14% subscription box is all about. So after I had all my ideas on paper and I'd really thought through things, the next thing I did was I was in a car riding with two other women from construction home from a conference. And I was sitting in the back seat and I said, so I have something I want to throw out there. And I threw out the idea, and the next hour and a half, 2 hours was nothing about except brainstorming ideas that what could go in the box, what should I do, what shouldn't I do, how to make it really good for everyone. Because it's not a box that's just for tradeswomen. It's not a box that's just for women in the office. It is a subscription box that is meant for all women in all aspects of the industry. Whether you're in accounting, human resources, you're a carpenter, you're a cement finisher, you are a project manager, you're in equipment sales, you're in concrete sales, whatever your position is, as women in construction, we face a lot of the same things. And so it is for all of you. And so we started brainstorming all these ideas, and I went back and I sat with all of that for a while. And then I called my little cohort, and they didn't know they were going to be my little cohort, and they didn't know each other. But I thought about whose brains do I need sitting around the table to make this really good? I need those people sitting around the table that aren't afraid to tell me this is a bad idea, or that's not going to go over well, or this isn't going to translate. I need those people who aren't afraid to be constructively, respectfully honest with me, and I need them to have different backgrounds. And so there were four women in particular that I called around the table. One of them being Shannon Seipel, who was my construction friend who I pulled around the table. She was the only other one at the table that was from the construction industry. Um, and well, that's not totally true. The next person I pulled around is Gay. Gay Miller is on the design side of the industry. She's now in textile sales, but she is an interior designer. And I knew that she could bring what I needed to the inside of the box, not from the graphic design part, but being able to help, like, what does that vision look like on the inside? What does the product layout look like? Like, how important is it for there to be a color theme throughout the box, or how does that work? That's what was really important, why it was really important to bring Gay around the table. And then there's my friend Cheryl. Cheryl Hammondtree owns Hammondtree, or Cheryl Hammondtree Designs. She does graphics and branding. She created my 14 percenters logo. She created my other business logo for my speaking business. She is absolutely amazing when it comes to design. And I knew I wanted her to help me with the design of the box. She's become so much more of a part of this box than just designing the outside of the box, but she was around that table that night as well. And then the last person that I want to mention that was at the table is Tanya Poe. Tanya Poe owns Votive. She sells boxes and plastic bags. Tanya has done this as long as I've known her, and she's amazing. And my whole life, she's been my friend that sells boxes. And I don't know that I truly ever knew what that meant. She would explain it to me, and I would kind of glaze over a little. Think about for a second how many of our non-construction friends we try to tell them what we do. And although they want to understand, they kind of glaze over. Yeah, I had the same kind of response probably to Tanya. But I knew it would be so important to have Tanya around the table to help us figure out, like, what is the right size box? What does that mean from a postage standpoint? What am I gonna be able to get in the time frames that I need? How does it all work with design? And it was so amazing to have those women around the table. But my favorite part of that night was I ordered each one of them a subscription box, a one-time gift box from each one of them from a different subscription box company. And when they showed up, I had these boxes just sitting in the center of the table, and I gave them each one. And it was for them to keep. But what I wanted them to do, I wanted to go around the table one by one, opening each of these boxes and see what that experience was like. And it was so enlightening. It was super fun because you would look at the boxes, like looking at them all sitting on the table, and I bought all of them in the same price point. So every box was the same price point, but they were different sizes. There were different quality of material. There were different quality of boxes themselves. And what we did is we went around the table one by one, opening the boxes and evaluating them as a group. For example, there was the smallest box. Looking at it like on the table, you're like, it doesn't feel good. Like when it shows up at your doorstep and you paid that much money for it and it's this small, it didn't feel good. There were other boxes that when you opened them up, the way they were packaged inside didn't feel like somebody really took the time to think about me and what my experience was going to be when I opened the box. So it was just really fun to think through all of that because I think a lot of that I wouldn't have thought about. I think a lot of people wouldn't have thought about without actually practicing. And to be able to have five different boxes around the table from different vendors and get that experience, that was really important to me. Making sure this whole experience is good for the subscribers is something that is really important to me. It's not just a box you get, there's so much that goes into it. So let's talk about what goes into it. Every quarter, the box has four components. That doesn't mean that you just get four items. It just means that everything in the box is tied to at least one of these components. The first and foremost component is a construction related item. This is something that we always get in the guy's fit, the guy's size, the guy's style. But in this box, it's in your fit, your size, your style. So much so that when you sign up for the subscription, you get asked four questions. What is your shirt size? Do you prefer standard or female fit? What is your glove size? What is your sock size? Now, in the future, there may be more questions added, but that's where I wanted to start. Because we don't all like the same type of fit. We're not all the same size. I want to make sure that you're getting what works for you because most of the time we don't. So that's the construction item. In the boxes so far, the very first box had a pair of safety glasses. They're Pyramex Mini Z-Tech glasses. First time I put them on my face, I was like, this is the first pair of glasses that have ever actually fit my face. The second box had a pair of work gloves by Dovetail Workwear. Amazing gloves, fit your hands in all the right places, have the padding in the right places, the stretchy fabric in the right places, the fingernails parts are reinforced, great gloves. The third box had a female fit high-vis vest. So many things that I love about that particular vest, but that gives you an idea of the construction items that so far have been in the boxes. The next component of the box is there's always an empowerment piece, whether it is a mug that says boss lady or right now my mind is going blank, but it's meant to have something that reminds you at the end of a hard day when you get home and you find this box on your doorstep or somebody's already brought it in, it's sitting on the table. It is that reminder that it's worth it. You are making a difference. You are kicking ass. You are taking names. You are breaking ground, shattering ceilings, challenging norms every day. And I want you to keep doing it. The third component is a femininity component. Femininity is not only a word that I struggle to say, I also struggle to spell it. But for the first 10 years of my career, I struggled to live it. I did everything I could to fit in and be one of the guys. I didn't want any part of femininity showing on me. I still remember the very first time that I wore something that was somewhat feminine on the job site. But this box has that component because I want you to know that you can be feminine and a woman in construction. It's not either or. And so like this last box had this amazing bracelet from Ink and Alloy. This is a bracelet that I came across, I take my nieces on a trip every summer. And while we were on our trip last summer, I came across this brand, Ink and Alloy, and I bought a bracelet and I wear it all the time. And I always get so many compliments on it. And I'm like, I got to figure out how to get this in the box. And I was able to get a workaround with that particular company, which is also woman owned. So that's important to me as well. I try as many things in the box as possible to have them women owned or family owned businesses that are more local, that are in the United States that we can support. So that's really important to me as well. But I'm hoping everyone loved their bracelets. I got a lot of pictures and text messages and emails with people sending me the picture of their bracelet on their arm, or that they were already trying to figure out what they were going to wear with their outfit, what outfit they were going to wear with it tomorrow. So that's really important, is the femininity component as well. And then the last component is a growth component. So the growth component so far has always been a book, and the book can be career growth or it can be personal growth. So far, two of the books have been more career growth and one was more personal growth, and the responses have been great on all of them. But I've also been hearing that as much as they want to read the books, they're not getting around to it. And so going forward, every box may not have a book. The growth component may be something different. And I've been polling some of the subscribers to see what they might like to see as a growth component in the box, because I don't want you to end up with a stack of books that you're not actually getting around to read. But I will also say that so far every book that I have chosen is also available on Audible, because if you're like me, I like the look of books, I like them on a shelf, but I'm not going to physically read a book. I'm going to listen to it while I walk my dogs. So those are the four components that are in each of the quarterly subscription boxes. I want to shout out a couple of the companies that have been in the boxes so far, and it'll also tell you the kind of quality of items that are in the box and how I select them, because I'm not going to put anything in the box that I wouldn't actually recommend. I don't care if a company reaches out and says, we'll give it to you for free if you put it in the box. It's not going in the box if I wouldn't actually recommend that you wear it or use it. And so, for example, I found this amazing lip mask. It was really, really highly recommended, and I used it, and it actually chapped my lips. And I was like, okay, I may be an outlier, but I can't recommend this, so it's not going in the box. But on the flip side of that, JJ Keller is a company that sent the vest that was in the last box, in the April box. They had reached out and said, how do we get in the box? And I told them, hey, I've got to try it on. It's got to fit. I have to really want to wear it to recommend it, to put it in the box. And they sent me a vest and I put it on. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is the first vest I've ever put on that I felt like actually fit me. I was so thankful that they had reached out to me to want to be in the box, that I had then gotten recommended or gotten introduced to their product and was able to now recommend that product to all the subscribers. But what's important to me is not just that the subscribers now have things that fit. What's important is that I let them know where they can get them, so that subscribers can go back to your companies and say, these are the glasses we should be ordering for people with smaller faces. These are the gloves that we should be ordering that actually fit. These are the vests, and here's where you can get them. And it comes in 2 different colors, and it comes in sizes all the way up to a 5XL. I want people taking these back to their companies so that other women are benefiting from what subscribers are getting in their box each quarter. Another company I'd love to shout out is Dovetail Workwear. I mentioned them earlier. Dovetail is where I got the gloves for the January box. And even if you're not a tradeswoman, you don't wear gloves to work in, I wore mine all weekend, working in the yard here in Kansas City, actually the last 2 weekends. So I think mine have more mud on them than they do sawdust at the moment, even though last weekend was a half and half. But the gloves are amazing. And for their company, everything they make is for women, not necessarily construction, but any kind of industry that you need those kind of clothes. Pretty sure I own two pair of their pants and a pair of their overalls. I love their clothes. So highly recommend Dovetail Workwear for women in our industry. And then the last one I want to recommend tonight is Juno Jones Boots. Juno Jones Boots provided a coupon in the January box, but they're a company who started out making boots for women only. And what was really interesting to me is for the January box, not only did they provide a coupon, but they provided a card that helped you understand the differences between men's feet and women's feet. And I think that's so important because too often companies that are making this gear, they make it in a smaller size and say it's for women, or they make it pink and say it's for women. But the card that Gino Jones provided in that box, and you probably can find the same information on their website, it showed how women's feet are actually made differently than men's feet. And so it helps you understand why that 7.5 men's size boot that I had to wear for the first, I don't know, 10, 15 years of my career because they didn't make women's work boots, helps you understand why they didn't actually fit. So I think it's really important to showcase companies that are doing just that. They're making things specifically with women in mind first. It's not an afterthought. It's not a shrink it and pink it. It is how do we make it fit women's bodies? And one of the things that I love about the vest from JJ Keller is that it has a drawstring that allows you to adjust it to the size that you want it to be. Um, allows you to adjust it to the way you want it to fit around your waist because not everyone wants things fitted like I do. And the flexibility, you get to choose how your size medium or size 2XL fits. What an amazing feature. Another thing I tell you about the box is that it's not just about safety glasses, but with the safety glasses, I also included a drawstring pouch. Because how many times we put these glasses in our car, in our purse, in our tool bags, and they're getting scratched. A lot of guys do not care. I think we care more. And I wanted to make sure that you had a safe place to keep them. And so even in the April box, I included this drawstring bag that you can throw in your car that will fit your hard hat. It'll fit your vest. It'll fit your gloves and your hat and your safety glasses. It'll fit all the things and you can keep them in one bag in your car. And then it's got an empowering phrase on the front of the bag as well. So that gives you an idea of what's in the box, who the vendors are that these items are coming from, how these items get chosen, and how the box even came to fruition. I think I also want to mention the women that continue to help me with this box every quarter. Cheryl Hammondtree that I mentioned earlier, her help didn't just stop with the design of the box, which by the way, the design of the box is amazing. It completely represents the 14 percenters who make up less than 14% of the construction industry. But she also, if you get something in the box that is branded, Cheryl has had her hand in that. Cheryl is so good at picking out really high quality items and then making sure the branding is the right size and the right location. And even if I wanted to go a lesser quality, she would not let it happen. She's so good at making sure the quality is a high standard in everything that gets chosen and branded for this box. And I'm so appreciative of that. For Gay Miller, every time I have a quarterly box, I finally get all of my contents. I close up the box and I walk it 2 doors down and I knock on Gay's door and I'm like, I'm ready for you to package it up. And so what Gay does is she takes all of the items and she arranges them in a way that an interior designer would arrange them so that you get the most out of the box when you open it and it feels like a true experience. So it's not just somebody throwing stuff in a box. She literally puts it together in a way that is so intriguing each quarter, and I'm so thankful for that as well. And then, of course, Tanya and the boxes helping me make sure I've got the right size of box each time for each delivery that's going out, and that the design wraps the box correctly and all the parts and pieces that go into that with the colors and the way I want it to look. Cheryl designed it, and Tanya, her job is to make sure it actually comes out looking like that on the box. And I'm so grateful for her as well. But there are also other people that when I know it's a last minute and I put out an all call, I have people who will show up at my door. My friend Heather last month, she showed up at the door and was like, "What do you want me to do? You want me to fold boxes? You want me to help stuff? What do you want me to do?" There's so many people that come behind me and help me. I'm not doing this on my own. So if you ever look at the post or listen to the podcast or see an email, it's not just me. There truly is a crew at the 14 percenters. I am not doing this alone, and I'm so grateful for those people, all the way to including my UPS driver, Cliff. I didn't even know Cliff's name until the first time I tried to catch him on the sidewalk one day and be like, "Hey, I started a subscription box. Wanted you to know that there's going to be a bunch of boxes on the porch." And he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" You should have seen the look on his face. He was like completely confused. He's like, "I don't understand what you're talking about." I said, "Well, does your wife get like Stitch Fix or Fit Fat Fun or um Bark Box, like a subscription?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm like, that's what I'm gonna have on my porch, but it's gonna be for you to pick up and deliver to everyone. And so he now it's a process where he backs into the driveway and I've got them all stacked on the porch and I help him load him in, and he's off and running. But it's all of these people that come into making it such an experience, such a great experience for each of the subscribers. And if you are a subscriber listening to this, I really hope that you are loving these boxes. And I hope that you will share ideas with me. If there is something that you would love to see in this box, if there's something that you didn't love in the box, but you would like it to be a little different next time, or you have a new idea, I'd also love to know that. These boxes are made for you, for women in construction. I want them to be what you want to be in there. I want you to open each box and feel like, she gets me. I do belong here. I am making a difference. I love this industry. That's what I want you to get out of these boxes. So these boxes are shipped out the first week of January, April, July, and October. So the next box is in July. Right now, the wait list is open. You can join the wait list. I am opening almost 50 new slots for the July box. So as soon as the boxes go on sale, the next subscription, the waitlisters are the first ones to know. The waitlisters get 2 days ahead of the public, ahead of the cart being open to the public. So if all of the boxes sell out to the wait list like they did in October, then it doesn't open to the public. So there's definitely a benefit to being on the wait list. There will be a link in the show notes for that. So I hope that you will join the wait list. You'll get some emails that'll tell you even a little more about the box. If I haven't answered all your questions and you would love to know more, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about it and tell you what you can expect in this box. And if you have a product that you would love to be part of the box, I would love to talk to you as well and get a feel for your product and how it fits with the audience. So I think that's it. The box waitlist is open. The box is $96 a quarter plus tax and shipping. And when you think about all the boxes that are typically monthly boxes, the cost is not only about the same, it's a little less than adding up all of those. So I hope that you will join the subscription and join the community that is the 14 percenters. Thanks for listening.